Hey, it's Andryanna. Thank you for pressing play and for tuning into this episode of The Juggler's Reel. I have been home for a couple of days and I'm actually gearing up to leave again for a little bit of work travel, which I'm looking forward to. But I'm still sort of reminiscing about last week and the family holiday that we took with my parents and my brothers and their wives and spouses and my little niece Journey. And we just had such a wonderful time being together and really just, pretending like we're kids again. Of course, now that we're adults, we have a lot more on our plates, and the time that we get to spend together is fewer and quite far between because some of us are living in different cities and countries and the schedules are full. So we just had so much fun, and I've just been thinking about some of the things that have made it work, that made it less stressful. We paired up to make dinners so that the same people weren't cleaning and cooking every single night. Tried to keep things easy just with myself and Ryan because we've got our three kids, and kind of going back and forth between who's going to do the breakfast and who's going to sort of have a morning to chill or do whatever. And it was just really nice. And of course, nothing about the trip was perfect, but there were so many beautiful moments that when I'm looking at it overall, I just am filled with so much gratitude. And when we were on our way home, it was interesting because the rest of my family left a day before we did. My parents and then Ryan and I and the kids, we left a day after. And so we were tidying up and doing some things. And then Ryan actually left to go to an alumni golf tournament with his old hockey buddies. And so he was going to a different city. And then I came home with the dog and the boys. And about, I don't know, 25 minutes into our trip, not even, maybe 20 minutes heading home, packed up. My engine light came on for the coolant to check the coolant. And I was just like, oh, crap. Oh, no, because, like, what do you do when you have three kids and a dog in the car and then something like this happens? But it actually made me think of the episode that I'm going to share with you because in the moment, even though I was thinking like FUCK, right? Like, oh my gosh, I would love to drop an F bomb right now. When I pulled over on the side of the road, looking under my car and putting up the hood, and I don't even know what I'm looking for. And I was just like, okay, the way that I respond now is going to affect how my kids react to this situation. And I didn't want it to be doom and gloom. And I called Ryan and I told my parents and all of this. And it ended up working out. I ended up driving to a small town nearby. There was a Canadian Tire. And even though everyone had gone out to lunch, all of the mechanics, the person who was working there managed to wrangle up someone and get me into a bay, even though they were fully booked, and quickly top up my coolant because I had some with me in the vehicle, and without charging me said, here you go, like, good luck, like the light turned off, everything seemed fine. And of course I gave him some money, but it was just like one of those things, like if I was like all in a bad mood and twisted and like really grouchy about it, I don't know that he would have been so eager to support and help me out and not make me wait until there was an appointment like later in the afternoon. And I would have had to keep my kids there and try to entertain them while also not knowing what was going on with my car. So it made me think of this episode because there are some F words that we can think to in moments like this, or when we're planning for a trip, when we are doing all the packing, getting the itinerary ready, buying the groceries, getting all the things planned. I know that it's a lot, and we want our family road trips and our summer vacation to be the stuff of lifelong memories. We want to look back with like just such fondness. But there is a lot of stress that can sometimes leave us feeling like we need a holiday from our holidays, right? We need another vacation when we come home from vacation. And so I get it. And there's been a lot of road trips that I've had in the past where I've been like, okay, like let's just get this over with. And that's not the vibe that we want to be feeling, right? So this episode, while it is a replay, I re-listened to it and I was like, all of this stuff is really good. There are some F words to support less stress for your summer travels. And it really is all about just embracing some of the little things, not worrying so much, embracing some of that flexibility while also having some structure. And I will say that tip number 3 about having fun, I can like full-heartedly support that third one because like it was just such a magical time that we had, and I just like jumping in the lake with my kids or having a diving competition with my brothers. It made me feel like we were kids again, and that's truly what it's all about, right? So I hope you enjoy this episode. It's 20 some minutes. It's not super long. Some of the reminders that we all need when it comes to getting in the car on that road trip or heading on the holidays or even just being at home with the kids right now, these F words can really support us. So have a listen. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, write me a review. Let me know. Slide into my DMs on Instagram at Andryanna G. And I do talk about the 30 Days for Me free guide. I would love for you to download that. That's in the notes for this podcast episode. If you want to start supporting a bit more care for the rest of your summer days, it goes over the 5 pillars of well-being. And also, if you want to go a little bit deeper and you want to keep yourself accountable every day, the Juggle is Real Authentic Self-Care Planner is that guide that's going to be your partner for, throwing out less F-bombs, but feeling more calm throughout the chaos of the juggle of not only summer holidays, not only, summer with the kids, but moving into routines that are sustainable and really work with you as we head into the busier fall months. So enjoy this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you here next week. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Juggle is Real podcast. I am sharing my experience and my learnings with you so that you don't have to struggle. I want to show by example how liberating and empowering it can be to silence expectations, to learn how to live through the chaos of work and family with grace, joy, and ease. So what do you think? Are you with me? Let's get started.
Okay, I gotcha. A little bit of clickbait for this podcast episode. I will be the first to admit it. We're talking the F words of stress-free summer travel. And yes, there are some F words that I may use from time to time that may not be PG friendly. But for this episode, we are talking some F words that are going to help you get through the summer travel period with ease and joy and actually some enjoyment. And I know that oftentimes in our head, when we're picturing these things, we're not venturing into these summer months thinking that they are going to be stressful. We're not planning holidays and vacations and trips and heading on the road thinking, oh no, this is going to be awful. We genuinely want to enjoy it. We sincerely want to have a good time, but sometimes things happen and things get in the way and the stress starts to creep up and the overwhelm kicks in and we're not being as present as maybe we hoped we would be, or, things kind of can veer us off track and it can be difficult to get back on that path of enjoyment and going through with that ease and the joy. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about F words that will help you to enjoy the summer travel. And actually, I'm recording this podcast episode right before leaving for our first summer road trip as a family. I know both ends of the spectrum, and that's why I want to talk about some of these F words. So what are the F words? Okay. Well, we're going to be talking about flow and flexibility. We're also going to be talking about freedom within form. And then finally, we're going to talk about fun, F-U-N. And, after a long winter, I am in Canada, I am in the north. Winters are long, The spring where I am, it was pretty rainy. And as a Canadian, as a Northerner, I mean, I look to summer with so much anticipation, and there can be such high expectations. And I know I am not the only one. So many of us, we take this time of year and we put it up on this pedestal because it's that time of year when we can start to make memories with our family. We can enjoy the outdoors. We can maybe take some time off of work, put some things on the back burner, and, try to have as much fun as possible. But of course, if you're a mom, you know that there's a lot of planning, a lot of organizing, a lot of preparation that goes into all the fun. So how can we reduce the stress, but still make summer travel fun? Okay, let's get into it with point number 1, our first F words, flow and flexibility. So within this area, I think it's always fun to think big picture and always kind of keeping our eyes on the prize, looking to those memories. And as a recovering perfectionist, this is an area where I can really struggle. And so I say flow and flexibility because it's so important to be able to let go, especially when it comes to travel and especially when it comes to the summer holidays. Needing everything to be perfect is really just setting yourself up for failure in almost all avenues, in every aspect. And I talk about this in so many ways, but it also applies to the time that you're spending away on those road trips, the summer travel stuff. Letting go of the need for everything to be perfect is so important. Someone's going to forget to pack something. Someone might get car sick. There's going to be a traffic jam. All of this is just part of life. And so when we can go with the flow and be more flexible, we're modeling these behaviors, especially in the moment with our children, with our spouse, with our friends, so that then they can see our response to what's going on that's perhaps not optimal. And then, of course, they're developing those valuable coping skills that, life setbacks are temporary and they don't need to derail the entire trip, So I love to look to perfectionism in these moments and just think like everything is going to work out. Maybe we're late for the slip and slide park. Maybe we don't make it to one aspect, or maybe the itinerary goes awry, or maybe it's rainy when we're planning this outdoor destination travel trip. Everything always works out. So how can we just go with the flow, be a little bit flexible, and be forgiving? Hey, there's an F that I didn't say at the beginning, forgiving. That's a good one. So when it comes to the F words of stress-free summer travel, flow and flexibility are points number 1. Remember the big picture. Remember how you want to feel throughout that travel, and then come back to that with that mantra, with that affirmation. Everything always works out in the end. So even if it doesn't go according to plan, it's still going to be amazing. So how can you go with the flow to maximize that enjoyment when things are not going as you plan them to be? Okay, point number 2 in our F words, these 2 more F words here for you, and that is freedom within form. And why do I say freedom within form? This point is all about having structure, even when it comes to the holidays, even when it comes to vacation, and also being firm. Okay, so freedom within structure, having some form, having some firmness, and it all kind of comes back to boundaries. So oftentimes we can go into these holidays and it's like a free for all. We're enjoying ourselves. We're like kicking up our feet. We want everything to be just fun, fun, fun. And especially if you're traveling with children, but it goes for yourself and it goes for everyone who's traveling. Sometimes you can overextend yourself, which then leads to temper tantrums or moods or exhaustion or just feelings that aren't optimal for summer travel. So having a little bit of freedom, going with the flow, but having that structure that you can come back to. So I'll give you an example. My family, we love to go to Manitoulin Island on the summer. It is the place that our family is just like my favorite place on earth. The waters are just crystal clear and so blue and so clean. And it's just this most peaceful and serene place that I could go to. Like, I would choose that among so many other places. But when we travel with our family, when we go to the cottage, when we're on the island, it's important for us to have boundaries. And we've learned this over time. So in visiting with family and with friends, bedtime rules still apply for my young family. And yes, we might stretch our bedtime a little bit, but we've learned that when we're too flexible, when we have too much freedom, when there's no rules, our kids go to bed later. Maybe they're not going through that routine, so it's harder for them to fall asleep. They're not getting a restful sleep. They're waking up, they're more irritable, they're, not as happy. And then it causes the following days not to be as smooth. So I say this because sometimes we can really get our hopes up. Maybe we're traveling with friends or we're traveling with extended family, and some of the personalities may clash. I mean, even with your children, there's always going to be little spats and those types of things. So having those boundaries in place, maybe sitting down with your family before you leave and having, these are the rules. And even though we're going to be gone and it's going to be a new place, and maybe it's a hotel, or maybe we're, renting a cottage, or whatever it involves, here are the ground rules for our trip. And it might be, things like meal times are sitting together, or bedtime routine is still going to be the same, or having a little bit of form within that flexibility that's going to help you and work for you in the end. And I mean, it's not going to the extremes of just being too regimented, because remember, point number one is going with the flow and being flexible. So knowing what is going to be working for yourself and your family, and really just holding those boundaries, being firm with love, and knowing that it's coming from a good place because you know yourself, you know your family, and you know what's best for yourselves. So that is point number 2. Those are the F words. Have some freedom within the form, and, don't be afraid to be firm with those boundaries. And now point number 3, of course, this is probably my favorite, maybe the most important. The last F word is going to be fun. Okay. But I'm talking about fun for you, my friend. Fun as an adult, having fun as an adult. Like, when did we stop thinking that fun was part of our lives? And I actually wanted to record, and maybe I still will, an entire episode that is about having fun in adulthood. We have so many responsibilities. There's so much on our plate. And I mean, you know what? As a mom, I willingly take on the majority of the mental load when it comes to most things, but especially the summer travel, like planning and packing and preparing. So it's also equally as important, while having a well executed plan and a great itinerary and having everything booked and packed appropriately, and doing the whole Tetris of your back trunk to make sure that everything can fit, emphasizing areas that you can have fun within that summer travel, so that you can de-stress and care for yourself, and also make memories for you, not just having the memories so that your kids can have a good time. And yes, we're there to have those moments and to create the memories so that our family, our children have these beautiful memories that they'll remember. But do you want to look back and think about how stressed you were and how you didn't actually enjoy yourself and how you were just kind of on the sidelines? Or do you actually want to do the things? So there's a quote, and I'm not sure who said it, but it's kind of goes along the lines of, sometimes we're stressed and sometimes we're burnt out not because we're doing too many things, but it's because we're not doing the right things. We're not doing the things that light us up, that really ignite our souls and get us passionate about life. It's not helping us to bound out of bed in the morning. And so remembering that throughout your summer travel, it's still important for you to have fun. So remember that inner child, that little you, the 8-year-old you. Who was she and what did she love? And what would she love to experience now, even as an adult? Is it going to be swimming with your kids and not giving a rat's butt what you look like in a swimsuit, or allowing yourself the same flexibility, the same freedom, and giving yourself some grace during those times. Maybe it's not going overboard, but maybe we don't have to worry about a diet plan or a meal plan or some type of workout regime or whatever your daily structure is. Maybe we can incorporate a little bit more flexibility and add that time for having fun within the process. My 5 pillars of well-being that I talk about in my free guide. It's a 30 days for you program, and it's free. You can get it on my website at andryanna.com, but there's 5 pillars of well-being. And the first one is to nurture. And when we talk about nurture, we're looking to things that are just for you, things that aren't, oh, I really should do this, or this would make someone else happy, or, so-and-so said this is a good trend, or this influencer and content creator is promoting this. What is it that lights you up? What is it that makes you truly feel your best? And tapping into that. So sometimes when we're traveling, we can kind of put things on the back burner when it comes to ourselves because we're too busy with the GPS or worrying about where our kids are and making sure everyone else is okay and making sure everyone else is having a good time and being that hostess or being the navigator. But I want to invite you to create small pockets of care for yourself every day, even when you're traveling. So something as simple as bringing a journal with you to write out maybe that list of gratitude in the morning or in the evening, highlighting the best moments of the trip. That can really shift your mood, especially, when things might not go as according to plan. Looking back to point number 1, going with the flow. Did you react in a way that maybe you're not proud of, or were you able to respond in a way that was more forgiving and going with the flow? Celebrating those wins, or even looking back and forgiving yourself for things that might have happened, and then moving forward in a way of love and compassion and gratitude so that you can truly enjoy yourself in the moments that happen afterwards. I mean, I have 3 boys. They have been known to take their wrestling moves to the next level, even in public places. We were just at the rink, and it's at an academy. So there's like a court and there's different areas. One of my kids got a volleyball, which they weren't supposed to have. They were playing with it. They were using it as a basketball. Then my son gave it back to the person who was in charge. My other son wasn't happy about it. A full brawl ensued. There's a bleeding nose. There's blood everywhere. I tell you this because it's just like, okay, was that what I wanted to be dealing with in that moment? No. Is it something that I condone? Is it something that I was happy about it? No, but it was like, this is, if it happened in the middle of a trip to Disney, that's life, and we're going to manage it and we're going to deal with it, but it's not going to completely derail our entire vacation. It's not going to make things, the whole holiday is not going to be ruined because of, a few little moments and some poor choices. So I tell you all this because remembering yourself amongst all of the process, amongst all of the planning and the preparing and making sure all the wet bathing suits are picked up and hung up so that they're not sopping in a soaking wet pile the next morning. You've got a lot on your plate and a lot rests on your shoulders, but it's okay to lighten your load. It's okay to kick back and also to have some fun and to, remember the family and enjoy your friends and really just emphasize feeling good and caring for yourself, looking to ways that truly nurture, regardless of, whether it's in the morning or in the evening or, finding those pockets within your day and making the time, creating the space, leaning on your spouse or creating windows. Maybe there's some screen time that happens within your trip. Having the downtime sometimes is just as important as all of those planned activities because it allows everyone to kind of just rest and reset and recuperate. So don't forget about yourself and all of your summer travel. I want to just end on a page from Brianna Weist, who is a brilliant writer, and she just writes so eloquently. But something that she has written, and I'm just going to read it out to you, that kind of fits in with this, and it is really an umbrella and overarches so many areas of life. But she writes, maybe you don't need to find more energy. Maybe you just need to find a dream that makes you actually want to get up in the morning. Maybe you need to find something that gives back more than it takes. Maybe you need to stop trying to be good at the 100 things that do not light up your soul and finally choose the one that does, the one that asks you to risk, to lay your heart bare, to try again, even though you're scared. You're not failing because you're not motivated. You're not supposed to get far on a path that was never yours to walk. So when I talk about self-care, when I advocate so deeply about it and incorporating these pillars of well-being, looking for ways to nurture, looking for ways to truly come back to yourself, even when we're busy, even when we've got a lot on our plate, even when we're on the go and on the road and traveling, I want you to remember yourself. And I want you to know that there are so many avenues that you can pursue that light you up and that will make you feel good. And one last thing that I do want to mention before we close out this episode is that as we head in Canada this long weekend, we're looking for ways to just start our summer off right. And I hope that you have a beautiful long weekend wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever you have going on in your life. There's always room for a little self-care. So until the next time, I would so appreciate if you could rate this episode, write me a quick review, and share with one friend who could learn some of these F words and maybe kickstart their summer in a way that has a little less stress. Thank you so much for listening. I so appreciate you. See you next time.